Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Every now and then you hear a story, when you hear the facts and the context in particular, you're like, wow, what were they thinking? So John sent me a note last night and said, Steve, check this out. From Fox News, but widely reported, Stephen Soros wrote this version. Michigan woman allegedly caught stealing from Walmart during Shop with a Cop event. So Walmart's putting on a Shop with a Cop event. We'll get to that in a second. And a woman from Michigan decided, hey, this is a good opportunity to go shoplifting. Allegedly. A Michigan woman was arrested at a Walmart over the weekend after she was allegedly caught shoplifting during a Shop with a Cop event with over 70 police officers present. Law enforcement officers were at the store in Genoa Township on Saturday when a clerk notified police, who were right there, that a woman had packed a cart with over $700 worth of goods and ran through the self-checkout. And again, running through the self-checkout might draw attention to you, but again, that's just me thinking out loud here. Michigan State Police Lieutenant Rene Gonzalez told all this to Fox 2 Detroit, and he said, I do have to say it surprised me, because when I'm driving a patrol car, people slow down. When you see 75 cops in the store, I don't know if maybe they thought we were too busy. Hey, they're doing something else. Gonzalez said police officers at the event partner with children whose families may not be able to afford much during the holiday season. We bring children that might otherwise not have a good Christmas to come to the store. They get $100, sometimes a $150 gift card to go and shop for themselves with their families. As officers and children were shopping, the woman walked out of the store with a variety of items, including groceries and clothes, without paying, according to police. Maybe she thought it was like a free-for-all. Hey, the cops are here, everybody's grabbing stuff, it's a free-for-all. A trooper followed the woman to the parking lot and spotted her loading the stolen goods in her car, which was parked next to a police cruiser. It doesn't get any better than that. It does not get any better than that. Police said the woman was arrested and taken to Livingston County Jail. She bonded out but will be charged with retail fraud. The woman's identity was not immediately released, and that's the story. So I did some more research on this just for the fun of it. Because some people are going to say, Steve, she was charged with retail fraud. Why not shoplifting? Well, every state's got different titles for what they call things. And in Michigan, they call shoplifting, in essence, retail fraud. So in this case, retail fraud depends on how much you steal as to whether it's first degree, second degree, or third degree. Michigan's compiled laws are the MCLs. The criminal code is at 750. So retail fraud, for instance, in the first degree would be MCL 750.356C, I believe it is. Yeah. And so D is a person who does any of the following in a store or in its immediate vicinity, is guilty of retail fraud in the second degree. A misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment for not more than 1 year or a fine of not more than $2,000 or 3 times the value of the difference in price, whichever is greater. And then it defines what it qualifies. But notice that you can get time in jail and a fine and be forced to pay 3 times the value of what you stole. And then it says, while a store is open to the public, if you alter, transfer, remove, replace, conceal, or otherwise misrepresent the price at which property is offered for sale with the intent not to pay for the property or to pay less than the price, that's one of the elements here. So if you pull the old price switcheroo, that's a violation of the law. If you mis-scan something on purpose, that sounds like that qualifies also. And then it says if you're at a store open to the public and you steal property that is offered for sale, that's a violation. Or if you, with intent to defraud, obtain or attempt to obtain money or property from the store as a refund or exchange. So you pull the old, I go pick it up off the shelf over here, walk it over to customer service, go, hey, I bought this yesterday. Don't have the receipt. That is a form of retail fraud, which is similar to what we call shoplifting in a colloquial term. Now, I was a little surprised. I couldn't find much more on this other than the different sections that talk about whether it's above $1,000, below $1,000, above $200 or whatever, okay? That's the main differences between these types of retail fraud. But I was poking around, and I'm always entertained when I read statutes that haven't been yet yanked off the books, but are still there. So, for instance, 750.356B, breaking and entering a coin-operated telephone. Right now, there are actually people in the audience going, a coin-operated telephone. What's that? Well, back in the old days, there were phones bolted to the walls and in little booths outside of stores. Any person who breaks or enters into a coin-operated telephone or a coin device attached to or an integral part thereof for the purpose of stealing or unlawfully removing therefrom any money, regardless of the value, if in doing so such person breaks, tears, cuts, or otherwise damages any part of the telephone or any coin device attached or a part thereof, is guilty of a felony. It's a felony if you try to break into a telephone and damaged it along the way, or if you damaged it trying to break into it. But interesting that that's a felony still in the books. I actually saw, and if I can find it, I'll post it in this video. I saw a couple payphones in a small town way up north on the other side of the Mackinac Bridge, east, about halfway over to Drummond Island, at a marina where there was an old payphone and a new old payphone, neither of which worked, right next to each other. And I took a photograph because it was such a time capsule. But the funny thing is that as I was poking around, I said, well, that's 356B. What's 356A? Larceny from a motor vehicle or trailer. I was happy to see this. This is not outdated. This is simply a law that I wish got enforced more. A person who commits larceny by stealing or unlawfully removing or taking any wheel, tire, airbag, catalytic converter, radio, stereo, clock, telephone, computer, or other electronic device in or on any motor vehicle, house trailer, trailer, or semi-trailer is guilty of a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of not more than $10,000 or both. I'm sure you caught that catalytic converter. So theoretically, if you got caught stealing a catalytic converter in Michigan, you could go to jail for not more than 5 years, but be fined $10,000. And been practicing law for quite some time now. I've never heard of anybody actually convicted of this. I'm sure they have been, but I doubt they get hit with a $10,000 fine, especially not in a first offense. But keep in mind that lists a whole bunch of things if you steal parts off cars. But notice it says taking any wheel, tire, airbag, catalytic converter, radio, stereo, clock, telephone, computer. And so basically, if you steal parts from cars, you can get busted for that. I was unaware that there was a law on the books specifically addressing catalytic converters, but they're lumped in with other components and parts of the car. But gets us back to the original story where a 62-year-old woman decided that she wanted to go get some stuff from Walmart. And when she showed up, there's cops everywhere because there were 70 officers present, many of whom drove there in their squad cars, in their patrol cars. So there's, let's assume they all doubled up. There's at least 35 cars, police cars in the parking lot, which would make you think something was going down, as they say. But then you walk into the store and it's not an emergency, it's not some kind of hostage situation. It's simply 70 cops escorting children and families around so they can get stuff. And you decide, hey, it's a great opportunity to start stealing stuff. And meanwhile, you parked next to a trooper's patrol car. And you got caught. Now, who'd have saw that coming? And again, as I pointed out, she ran through the self-checkout. Ran through. And I've seen a whole bunch of videos on YouTube about people shoplifting. People get busted for shoplifting. And they often show the video of the surveillance showing the person. And they'll often, like for instance, pull up to the self-serve and they'll scan half their items and then they'll leave, hoping that nobody caught the fact that they didn't scan the other half their items, that kind of thing. But I've also seen where somebody just simply loads up a shopping cart full of stuff and walks it out the door to see if they get caught. But here, loads up the stuff and runs out with it. And I have a sneaky feeling, as just a matter of just instinct and spending years doing what they do, I suspect that when a police officer sees somebody running out of the corner of their eye, they automatically look and go, what's happening? That might be important. What's happening? Okay? Now, I've seen things happen where a bunch of people are standing around and nobody turns their head because they don't care. But I have a sneaky feeling that every police officer within 100 feet of this saw that woman running. Oh, hey, there's a woman running with a shopping cart filled with $750 worth of stuff. Was it 750? $730. $730. That's close. So they spotted that, and she got busted. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, she picked the worst place, the worst time to do that. Michigan woman allegedly caught stealing from Walmart during Shop with a Cop event. There were 70 officers in the building, and she parked her car next to a patrol car. There you go. John, thanks for sending it. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If you want to make a dangerous man your friend, let him do you a favor.